Ciao, buongiorno, wherever you are and whatever time it is into the world. Welcome to a special edition of Inter Talks. This is our Derby del Madonnina preview, and I'm honored to be joined by my PIC, my partner in crime, Rahul. How you doing over there, buddy? Thanks for joining us.
Yo, what's up, guys? Thank you, Anthony. Hope everyone's doing well.
Fantastic. And we are also very honored and privileged to have a couple of special guests with us today. We've got the boys from IFTV, Italian Football TV, Marco and Mike. Thanks for joining us, boys. How you doing?
Rahul and Anthony, thank you guys for having us on. We're honored to be on Inter Talks, and I think there's no better time to be on than for what, Mike?
The Derby della Madonnina. Guys, I've been thinking about this since the beginning of the season, and I can't wait. It is so close.
It's going to be good. Thank you for having us on this one. Let's go.
All right, fantastic. So we're just going to jump straight into the derby. We don't have that much time this week, so let's get right into the action and what matters to all Interesti all over the world. Wow, here we are again. After last season's delayed fixture, I am ready to go for this year's derby against AC Milan. So throwing it right out to my partner, Rahul, where do you see the first derby of the season heading, and what's your overall prediction, mate?
Oh man, I'm so excited for this one, just like you. Our season started off, a little bit dodgy, a little bit shaky. We started off with the loss to Sassuolo, and we were like, oh man, not one of those seasons again. But luckily, we've picked things up again, 6 wins in a row, and I'm seeing this derby in a very positive light. I think we can get a win, even though Milan have been in good form recently with 3 wins in a row for them, and Gonzalo Higuain hitting form for them. But I personally, I'm seeing an Inter win, man. And in terms of the predicted lineups, of course, there's not much news been released as of yet. We're still, quite a bit away from the derby. But I think it's going to be not many surprises thrown out by Spalletti. I think it's going to be same old sort of lineup that we've seen in the last few matches. The predicted lineups that we see usually with Handanovic in goal, Asamoah left back, De Vrij I think has solidified his place alongside Skriniar now ahead of Miranda, who has been a little bit shaky when he has come in, especially in the last match when he gave away that penalty against Spal. So maybe, I don't know, age catching up with him, and De Vrij is definitely my number one choice next to Skriniar, who's number one choice regardless of whoever. I think on the right there might be a little bit of a 50-50. I think Vršálko came back from injury last match, played a decent match, looked a bit rusty, but I think in the long term he's the one who will be looking to take that right back spot. But D'Ambrosio has been, consistent. I know you're not a big D'Ambrosio fan yourself, but he has been pretty decent in the recent weeks. And because Vršálko still lacks that match fitness, I think D'Ambrosio will still start ahead of him because it's such a vital match. And maybe Vršálko will come in for the next match in the Champions League. And then moving into midfield, I think Brozovic, of course, he's our regista, our playmaker, will retain his place. And alongside him, that's the other sort of doubt I think Spalletti will have. He clearly prefers Vecino this season over Gagliardini. But I think maybe Gagliardini's physicality against the likes of Kessie and Bonaventura will be important in midfield. So Spalletti could opt for Gagliardini over Vecino, which would be a surprise considering recent weeks. And then the 3 behind Icardi, I think, will be Perisic, Nainggolan, and Politano, who's really risen up in the rankings with his consistent performances this season. And of course, up front, our captain has to be Mauro Icardi. So that's my kind of predicted lineup. What's your thoughts on the matchup?
Yeah, I'd pretty much have to agree with you, except I think with Šime Vrsaljko being sent home from the Croatian camp, maybe we could see him start in the derby. I think his match fitness is probably at a more elevated level now than what it was at the start of the season. And to have the Croatian national team coach and Spalletti, seemingly be on good terms, it's not very, very often you see a club being able to ask a player to be sent back from international duty, or at least have some sort of input there. So if I was to say if there was any changes to the lineup, I would say, or any non-changes, I would say Vershalikov would be there over D'Ambrosio. Other than that, I wouldn't change anything in your starting lineup. I'd say the only other position that's up for question is the position on the right-hand side of the attack. But I would be starting Politano. Obviously, Candreva is slipping down the pecking order, not just in everybody's point of view, but in Inter's management point of view as well. And Keita Balde, as excited as we were for him at the start of the season, he just hasn't really hit the ground running. And I think this is the last kind of fixture that you want to thrust a player with minimal confidence into. So I would say I would have to agree with your predicted XI, and I would have to go. I'm pretty confident in an Inter win. I don't like being overly confident, especially in these fixtures, but I can see Inter pulling out a win. So I'm going to go for an Inter win as well. I'm going to throw it over to the boys at IFTV now to have a little bit of a discussion about the derby. Mike, we know that you're a Milan fan, so maybe you can give us more of a Milanese outlook on what you expect from this kind of derby. Boys, what do you think?
So, Anthony, I actually have a good feeling about this one. Milan, I think they're going to take it. And I'm not just saying that. Higuain has been one of the most informed players in Europe. He's scoring every single game. And I don't think Skriniar and De Vrij can hold him. And if somehow he doesn't score, they have the wonder kid, Patrick Cutrone, on the bench that should be winning the U21 Ballon d'Or over Mbappe, because that guy is incredible. Plus, Suso on the wing over there is tied with the most assists in Europe. I don't have to say anything else. 2-0 Milan.
Listen, I'll give it to you that Milan is good, and I like Higuain, and I think that you always need to be careful when Higuain is on the pitch, because he could pull something out of nowhere. But I think that it's clear that Inter's team is better overall. The goalkeeper, the defense, the midfield, and the attack. I mean, Mauro Icardi, do I have to pull out the Inter jersey again and hold it like this? Because we know what he did last year against you guys. But I think that Inter is way too solid. Skriniar in the back matches well with Higuain. I'm excited to see how that works. I think that Inter's defense, they're finally starting to get a few wins and a little bit of confidence. But it's a derby della Madonnina. We know anything could happen. But if I had to bet my money, I'm betting it 2-1 Inter win. Icardi's going to score. Icardi's going to score.
Yeah, it's definitely an important one, and you only really need to think about the passion and the past editions that have provided so many magical moments over the years. And I can only count back to many of them, watching them as a kid and, still watching them up until last season. So, Rahul, if you could think back, I know it's hard to pick one, but maybe try and narrow it down. Do you have a specific derby moment or one particular fixture that stays in your head?
I would, it's a bit of a, I wouldn't say controversial, but I think it's against the current. It's 2015 under Roberto Mancini, Freddie Guarin's goal in the 1-0 win. I'm one of those guys. I'm one of those Freddie Guarin fans, a rare breed. He was he was one of my favorite players, even though he had the brain of a pigeon.
That was such a troll win, that one.
Yeah, we had Gary Medel centre back. Never forget Gary Medel, Murillo centre back with Juan Jesus left back.
Oh,
Felipe Melo as the anchor of the midfield with Kondogbia and Guarin, and Perisic playing centre attacking midfield.
Oozing creativity.
Yeah, it was crazy that we won, and I think I just loved his goal. It was just he just took the ball near the halfway line and just cut in and smashed it with his left foot, and I remember still going crazy.
That's right.
And it's that moment stuck with me because, as you probably know, that was in our banter years. So it was, when we were struggling. I know a lot of people like to pick sort of the moments that when we were, the best, maybe like 2010 Mourinho times. Mm. But the moments that stick out for me was when we were really struggling.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome to hear someone say that. Kind of reminds me of the real dead derby for 86 minutes, and then Palacio does a little backheel flick into the bottom right corner. That
was this jersey season.
Yeah,
the Mazzari era.
Well, I would say I'm one of those people who does enjoy the heightened derbies a bit more when we were on top. I think the 4-0 under Jose. Wesley Sneijder, I think, landed at Milano airport only 24 hours or 36 hours before the fixture. There were fans saying, you know, regardless of his ability, he shouldn't be thrust into a match like this so quickly, but he was electrifying in that match. That was when I pretty much fell in love with Wesley Sneijder. But I'm actually going to say my favourite derby of all time was last season, the 3-2 win with Icardi's penalty at the end. It was just a roller coaster from start to end. 4:30 a.m. wake up in Sydney, and it was just the best Monday morning I've had in a long time. So I'm going to go with last year's 3-2 derby. This has been a fantastic Inter Talks edition, and we're very thankful to all our guests for coming on. So I'm just going to say a special thank you to both Marco and Mike of Italian Football TV. Thank you guys so much for coming on, and we look forward to collaborating and hearing from you guys in the future. So thank you so much for that.
Guys, we are so honored to be on, so thank you for having us, and keep up the incredible work with Inter Talks. I think that we needed a place on YouTube for Inter fans to go, and I appreciate that you guys are doing that, and thanks for having us on.
Can't wait for the derby, guys. Let's go for Forza Milan on this one. Sorry.
Icardi's going to score. You can't say that on Milan underneath the channel. Guys, Icardi, he's got this.
So the final thing for our edition today, we're just going to throw out to about a couple of comments or questions from the Inter community, because we've been getting a lot of thoughts and interest from you guys, both on Facebook and on Twitter, and also on our YouTube channel as well. So we've got a couple of comments from here. Jono from Australia says, Politano must start this derby over Candreva and Keita. He's our best option by far. I would agree. Thanks for that. And Wes, also from Sydney, asks, if you could pick one Milan player to have in the Inter side, who would it be? Rahul, this seems like a question Rahul can answer. I'm going to throw this one out to him.
Ooh, let's think about that one.
Trying to think if we're weak.
I mean, I think, well, Higuain would be good, but we already have Icardi. Maybe, I do like Suso, you know.
He is good. He is good.
Because he's a creative outlet for them on their right-hand side. But now we have Politano. I mean, if this was last season, then it definitely would have been Suso.
Would have been easier last season, yeah.
Who can we say this season? I think Kessie next to Brozovic would be interesting to see. I think that his physicality and his ability on the ball would be quite nice to. Like, it was like Gagliardini last season, which he hasn't been able to replicate this season yet. But yeah, I don't really think I would have any of their players.
To be honest, me either, to be honest. Not this season anyway. All right, well, that's pretty much all we have time for today. Guys, thank you for tuning into this special edition of Inter Talks. We're going to do everything we can to keep coming at you with as much content as possible. It's a lot trickier this year with all the fixtures that we have rotating, but hey, we prefer that 10 times out of 10. Thank you again to the boys from IFTV for coming on. That was awesome. But thank you more importantly to my PIC, Rahul. Thank you very much, brother, and we will speak again soon. Forza Inter.
All right. Forza Inter.
Ciao.